Brad Perry is alive in Claremont Mesa this morning, getting on the comic book
Brad,
craze.
I don't know if you can top yesterday's luau with your grass skirt, but give it a shot.
Oh, I missed that one.
Oh, you did.
I know. Well, I'll be topping it all day long, so we'll see what we can do here.
All right.
Well, hey, you know what? It is getting countdown to Comic-Con, which is going to be happening here in San Diego coming up in less than, 3 weeks. It's the 23rd, and I'll tell you, it's going to be a huge event going on. A lot of people are worried about Comic-Con staying, and talking with Robert here in the breaks while we've been just like hanging out, we're talking about that you've been saying that they really want to stay here.
Oh, absolutely. This is the birthplace of Comic-Con. You know, it was created by fans here in San Diego, and everybody wanted to come to San Diego in the summertime to escape the New York heat and humidity. To talk about comics, and this is where it needs to be, and this is where they want to be. Yeah, a controversy is that they're saying they need more money, they want this and that, but you were saying that they need more space. That's the problem. Yeah, I think obviously it's a not-for-profit organization, so it's an educational organization, so whether or not, you know, it's not they're trying to hold people up for money. The problem is that basically Comic-Con is pretty much sold out, and it sold out starting last year. You know, so I mean, if you're selling out a year in advance, and you know the authorities are saying you can't let any more people into this show, there's just not enough room for it anymore. They don't have a whole lot of choice unless they can figure out some other way to hold on to these new attendees that want to come. Yeah, and that's one thing that I was reading a little bit online, and when people were talking about this, is that a lot of people don't want to go somewhere else. They love coming to San Diego, and because it's easy to get around this city, it's a nice city to be in, and they want to keep it here. Of course, it's a beautiful town. It's got great weather. We've got great places to visit. Family-oriented wise, you know, we've got SeaWorld and the zoo and the animal park and the beaches. You know, if they went to Las Vegas, you know, not so much family-oriented and very hot. And they have a lot of competition from other entertainment. The same thing happens if they try to go to Anaheim. You know, they're going to have to compete with Disneyland and things like that, you know, are drawing in people and taking up hotel rooms just the same. Yeah, now this is something I didn't know about, because you were saying that a lot of people who come, there's a lot of different attendees that come this. The ones that come for the comic books are kind of like getting pushed out for the people that want to just come for the movie stuff and everything. Yeah, I think we've seen a lot of that. You know, the convention can't really say no when Hollywood wants to come down and get their giant booths. You know, and Twilight, until very recently, had no real connection to comics. Now that there's a manga, Japanese comic version of Twilight as well, that's not so much the case. But yeah, I think the phenomenal growth, a lot of that has had to do with gaming and movies more so than more comic fans. Yeah, now let's step back this way really quick, because I want to talk about how popular comic books are and why this is so important with Comic-Con and stuff, and that is because we're talking these new types of books coming out and the new types of comics. Right. These are graphic novels, and it kind of is replacing the old traditional back issue, the individual comics that everybody thinks of when they think of comics. Now you can actually buy, just like going to a bookstore and buying a novel, you can buy a graphic novel, which is an entire story, all in book form, rather than buying the individual comic, which is kind of like buying a chapter at a time. It's not replacing comics. It's kind of like buying a 2-liter bottle of soda versus buying a can or buying a fountain drink. It's just another version, but it does make it a lot easier for people that can't come to a comic book every week for a new issue to still enjoy reading comics. Cool. Thank you, Robert. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about this. But Sandra and Dave, you know what? Comic-Con, really big, and as they're saying that maybe, you know, they take over Petco Park for the big screenings and not so much taking so much room on the convention floor. So, so we're going to talk about when we come back more here at Comickaze with Robert and comic books.
Yeah. And such a huge deal for our economy. I mean, a couple years ago, there were close to 150,000 people that attended Comic-Con.
Yeah. And it's already sold out. Even to the point where us media, literally, I'm new here in town, I went to apply and they're like, you know what, I'm sorry, we're filled up with our media people too, because it's such a big event.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can keep it in town. All right.
So important, Brad. Thanks. We'll
Brad.
be
Well, definitely. You know, of course, July brings a lot of things into San Diego. As we all know, Comic-Con coming up here in about 3 weeks. And I've been talking with Robert here of Comickaze, comic book store. And we're talking, of course, that, you know, the big thing everyone's talking about is Comic-Con probably leaving, but you guys want to stay. You want them to be here. People want to be here. Sure. And you were saying some things that might help to change that, and that is by maybe putting the Comic-Con in different venues around San Diego.
Yeah, I think, you know, downtown has really been built up. There's a couple of convention centers down there. We've got the old convention center in Golden Hall, where the Comic-Con used to be. A lot of the hotels down there also have ballrooms and things that are able to handle a lot of people. I think that there's a lot of events that happen inside the center that could probably be moved outside of the center, or possibly maybe just broadcast to other locations, so that the people that couldn't actually get in, instead of having to stand in line for a few hours and not be able to get in, can just head on over to Petco and sit in the park at the park.
No, is comic books kind of disappearing? Because we were just talking about that a little bit, where now, you know, people are, you know, going to computers and movies and stuff now, but is that dying out maybe?
No, not a chance. I mean, with Hollywood focusing so much, I mean, if you look at the last 10 major blockbusters that came out, probably 6 of them were based on comics. So there's a lot more interest. The nice thing is that comics used to be hard to come by, and you would have to pay tons of money for the older issues if you wanted to read them. Then you were afraid to read them because you didn't want to damage them. So now we have a lot of things. When you look around, Comickaze, Comics, Books, and More is what we're called. And the reason is because we're not just comics. We also have graphic novels that represent the older comics. And so now you can come in and buy a complete story.
And that's going to bring some people in, definitely more into Comic-Con. As we said, it's already sold out. So definitely looking at next year and looking at things going on. So you'll probably see some places maybe popping up this, you know, coming up
Absolutely.
3 weeks, because it's sold out, so they want to get things out, especially new writers here. Actually, Robert wrote his own comic book back in 2000, really cool. And so that's some of the things you're going to be seeing coming to Comic-Con that need to expand a little bit around San Diego. So we're hoping that does, because it brings in a lot for the economy, Sandra and Dave. And I'll tell you, you know, like I said, already sold out. He's excited about it. They want to keep it here. So it was good that we talked to somebody and started getting that word out that, you know, maybe the hotels will start having some different little venues around. And he suggested this for those big movies, because Hollywood's taking over Comic-Con a little bit, is maybe moving them to Petco Park and having where, you know, they have a huge big screening there and, you know, watch it, since, you know, that park's available.
Yeah, hopefully they can work it all out, because it's a great atmosphere when they're here.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you, Brad.
So, all right.